All right, and welcome back. It is week 2 of our CFP show. It happened last night, but we're going to wrap it up tonight and also look at what happened last week, kind of combine them and see what happened last week and how it shaked up in the CFP. So Randy's with me here real quick. If you're on Facebook, like us. YouTube, subscribe, hit the bells, and stay with us here at the Fletch Entertainment Network, especially here in the College Football Corner, where we love W. And we're going to hope you can get some to Randy here, but go out and buy some. Use your FEN network to get a 10% discount. So, breaking news. In the last half hour, I just saw that you might have heard today that the New York Giants head football coach got fired.
Yeah.
He was seen walking out of, I guess, where he moving out of or something in a Penn State hoodie. And he has kids at Penn State. And he's a Nick Saban tree guy. He was under Saban and Belichick and others. So the rumors are that he's sending a message. Hire me at Penn State. That was broken by the Pat McAfee show. I watched a little video on that. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But you might have heard it here first if anybody's watching. Brian Daboll at Penn State. NFL guy. It seems like the NFL guys are coming popular in the college football ranks a little bit here, and we'll see how that shakes out.
So you're calling it.
I can't. I don't have enough information to call that. I wouldn't be surprised just because it's an NFL. But
hey, we don't have enough information for anything that we call.
No doubt.
Does it really matter?
No doubt. Well, there's no money on it, so yeah,
Well,
why
exactly.
not? It's the Fletch Entertainment Network. I'll call it. Man, Brian Dable at Penn State. Why else would he wear a Penn State jersey? He's not an alum, so he didn't go there. It's not like you and I are wearing Alabama or Ohio State or something. So
Right.
must be some reason he's doing it. So, okay, did you watch the CFB? I thought it was on at 8. It was on at 7, so I had to watch a recap of it and then watch the thing over on YouTube. So, what did you think of last night and the rankings?
Well, I mean, I think the rankings are probably pretty darn close, and I mean, it's not like the preseason stuff because now we got all these games under their hat and all that kind of stuff. But still, I don't know how much that it really matters. I mean, I think they got it pretty close, and with the matchups they have coming up, I mean, it's truly going to work itself out, especially for that top 4. But even going down all the way through 12. But looking at what they had. What they came up with. I mean, it looks pretty close to me. I don't know that I have a big argument either way. That's not going to change in the next week. Big matchups coming up this weekend that are certainly going to change that. So yeah, I find it interesting. I think it's probably a fair assessment of college football as far as the playoff goes.
Yeah, I'm going to put them on here because we can. And that's not it. I did it yesterday. I did it. Where's that here? Screen. There we go. And yes, I understand. And I want to do this one right here. And I don't want the audio. So, because basically, here we go. As you can see, and I don't disagree with you. The way it shakes out is fine. There's plenty of games coming up. They're going to do some more shaking. The interesting thing is highest ranked ACC team, Miami. And they're at 15. And they have they don't control their own destiny to get to the ACC championship game.
Right.
Here's where it's really getting interesting. I heard this last night while watching the recap. Duke actually has 4 losses and they control their destiny in the ACC to get to the championship game. If Duke wins the ACC, this is a very weird scenario. But it is the year weird. If Duke wins the ACC, they're not even in the top 25. Nobody knows how far down they are because they don't go past 25 in the CFP right now. So they could be 84. Who knows how far back they are? If 4 other conference champions are higher ranked than Duke as the ACC champion, then ACC doesn't have a representative. The champion doesn't go to the CFP, and that's crazy. I didn't realize that it's the 5 highest ranked conference champions, no matter what conference they're from, which is interesting. And the only way it's going to happen is if Duke wins it, because the other teams in there, Pitt, and they're all got one loss. And Duke's got 3 losses outside of the ACC, 1 loss in conference, which is why they can still win the conference. Very interesting. I thought that was.
Yeah, I thought that the conference champs had an automatic bid, but you're saying that they do not.
It's what the 5 highest do. But if there's you talk about the Power 4, if you do the Power 3, if there's 2 other Group of 5 conferences that are higher ranked than Duke,
I got
then they don't get automatic get in, and
Okay.
you almost certainly not going to get. Duke's not going to get in, and if they don't get in as the EC championship and they win it, they're not going to get in as a at large with 4 losses. So
Okay, I got you. Okay,
that's crazy.
You. All right.
And here's another interesting thing I didn't even pay attention to until this week. The top 4, which we like, and it's not because we're homers or anything. We don't have any problem with the top probably 10 really. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, the SEC and the Big Ten. And if it ends that way, then all 4 buys are in 2 conferences, which is interesting.
Right.
Where last year it was different conferences because of the champions got it. This year it's not that way. The champions don't get it. So you could be looking at Indiana and Ohio State, Alabama and A&M all getting buys in that first week, while everybody else beats the snot out of each other.
Yeah.
And that'd be interesting. I mean, that have those top teams sitting there ready to go. Well, I think last year it was a little bit different dynamic, and they all 4 lost. I really didn't think that would happen this year, but it's going to shake up like crazy. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. That's I don't know that it'll come out that way with everything that we have coming up, but I mean, certainly a possibility. That's for sure.
Yeah, one of the things is if Indiana and Ohio State finish up undefeated and playing the Big Ten championship game, and it's a close game, no matter who wins or loses, will they drop out of the top 4? And some are saying you can't kick somebody out of the top 4 when you're that far up there. You're undefeated, and it's a extra game, the championship game. So who knows? I think from a CFP standpoint, it really comes down to where you're blown out. If you're blown out, you might be outside the top 4. But if you're a tight game, they'll probably keep you up there. And I think it's the same with A&M with 0 losses, and Alabama 1 loss at the beginning of the season, which wasn't a conference loss, so undefeated in the conference, that type of thing. I can see that happening, 1 and 2 especially, but the 3 and 4, I think I just don't think they're going to burn somebody for losing a conference championship game when it's an extra game. But you never know.
Well, you have to, you'd like to think that these, if they're going to have these rankings and make such a big deal out of them, that they would mean something.
Yeah.
And a team like you were just saying, wouldn't be penalized for playing in a championship game. Whenever you have a team that's maybe, sitting there at 5 that has an argument to be in the top 4 or 6 or whatever, sitting home and resting up and getting ready for the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, it's certainly almost, if they didn't do it that way and make those rankings matter, it would kind of be unfair to even be in that championship game. We've talked about that several times.
Yeah, because if you're in your championship game, you're number 4. Let's say you're Alabama, just the way it is right now, and whoever is number 5, which I think is Georgia, you lose, and Georgia's going to jump you by not playing the game. That seems weird.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see that happen, to be honest with you.
Right. So, and the fact that it's an extra game for Alabama, and Alabama already beat Georgia in the regular season. So there's a lot of things to unravel with stuff like that if they go down that route. But we got a few weeks before we're talking about that kind of stuff. But as far as games last week, the ACC really took one on the chin. The week before, Georgia Tech lost. They were off. And then this week, Virginia and Louisville both lost.
Yeah.
So it's like the ACC, nobody wants to win it. Kind of felt like the Big 12 last year almost.
Exactly.
Arizona State come up. But that is going to level things out in the craziness category to a certain degree, barring a whole Duke thing. And then I really was impressed. It was just great football. Love this game. Love watching this game. Indiana, Penn State, Iowa, Oregon. Both those games from wire to wire were amazing games. Different games. One's nice sunny day. The other one's wet, nasty, high scoring, not high scoring, crazy finishes down to the wire.
Oh, yeah.
College football. You just don't get that in the NFL.
those were absolutely great games. Probably two of the better games that we saw last weekend.
Yep.
There, yeah, the ending of the Indiana game was that was pretty incredible. And then everybody like, oh, that's a Heisman moment for this quarterback. What a fantastic drive. I tell you what, he made the throws, but I tell you, there was two fantastic catches
Yeah.
on that drive that really that made the difference in that game.
And it was the same receiver on both those catches. I think it was as much as a Heisman moment for him as it was for the quarterback too. I totally
Oh
agree with you.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you
Yeah.
had an okay game, and then all of a sudden you had a great finish. But those two catches, the one on the sideline, and then the touchdown in the end zone, those were both fantastic catches, great catches that he made. So that was the difference in that one. Really, that was an incredible game to watch.
Yeah. That catch in the end zone for the win. I was watching it closely thinking, man, did he get that foot down? And that other foot didn't touch it. Man, they had right time. The ref was right there. He called it right. He got it right. The video confirmed it. And that might be, it's hard to see anything beating that out for play of the year. That was incredible.
Well, he got both feet down. That's what was incredible because I'm trying to figure out did he get the one down and the one was out. When they replayed, he actually got them both down.
In the end zone?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I thought I saw one was floating up as the other one touched
Well, it
first.
did, but the other one had already hit on the
Oh,
slow
okay.
on the video when it did the thing by thing. If I seen it right, but I got glasses and old age and everything else going
Looking through
on.
the bottom of a beer mug.
Yeah, looks like man, he got them both down. But yeah, I mean that's what I thought I was looking at. One of the things.
Yeah.
It could have been one of them friggin' AI thing. Who knows?
And I felt bad for the Penn State
AL
guy. I thought, hindsight's 2020 because he hit the guy and then he stopped and he was looking. If that Penn State guy just drives him out of bounds, he
Yeah.
doesn't touch.
I
But it's only third down though. But still,
Yeah, I was
tough.
thinking that. I mean, they would still have one more shot. I was thinking that he's right there when he went up. Push him.
Yeah, just keep driving him.
Yeah.
Tough loss for Penn State. That would have been an incredible win for them, and that really would have. It wouldn't have derailed Indiana's season or nothing like that, but that just would have been a real interesting, loss there, just from the standpoint of if somebody else gets Indiana, all this. So none of that's happening because it didn't work that way, but incredible. And then Oregon, Iowa. I mean, Iowa's just a tough place to go into. You're going to get beat up. Of course, now it rained on, and it's just came down. They scored late, and I thought, man, there's just a little bit too much time on that clock. And unfortunately, I was right, and Iowa didn't get it. They end up losing that one, but great game. Oh, it was so
Oh yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of wonder that I mean, we saw what Indiana did to Oregon, so
Yeah.
and you didn't Iowa. And I'm not taking anything from Iowa, but they pretty much they could have very well had Oregon also. So
Yep.
I don't know what that says about Oregon. Maybe they're ranked higher than what they should be, possibly. And then I mean, did it expose Indiana a little bit with that game from Penn State with the with the big game coming up? That's eventually that we all believe we're going to see in the Big Ten championship. I mean, we don't have an answer to that. A win is a win. I've always believed that.
Yeah.
Some people, oh, he barely won. I don't go for the whole barely won thing, but I think it does show sometimes maybe a weakness somebody exposed, somebody found. I don't know. I mean, it's above my pay grade, but you kind of wonder about that. Was that just Penn State's best game, or
Right. Like, if you
yeah,
remember last year, and it might have been right around this time when Indiana came into Ohio State, big game, two undefeateds, and then they lost. They played
right,
good for about a quarter and a half, and then it was a rainy day, botched punt, all this stuff. Wheels came off, they lost the game. No big deal.
right,
When I'm watching, when I looked at Penn State, because I was at somewhere, so I'm trying to keep on my phone. When I looked at the scores and I saw Penn State was making a game of it, my first thought was, okay, this is Indiana. They're right there, but they're not quite there because not taking anything away from them, just saying that this is where
well,
they're at.
yeah,
Last year, same thing, but then they pulled it out. And it does.
right,
I think you're right. It does a lot of things. It gives Signetti bull, material to go chew his boys out, and say, hey, look, you got to play 60 minutes, all 4 quarters on the road, but heck of a win anyways. Penn State, it's like they still got some 5-star talent on that team, 4-star talent on that team, even though they're having a horrible year and they almost got they're still winless in the Big Ten. There's a lot of levels of that. So the next game for Indiana will tell us, did that game expose something? I didn't know who they're playing, or they just they played with their food a little bit, or Penn State said this is the one we got to have. They put everything into one game. There's so many levels.
Right, and what I said about Indiana on the negative side, we can also look at the plus side of that. It also tells Indiana that, hey, if we are in a close game coming down to the end of the game, we already know that we can win this game.
Oh yeah,
we've done it. So
you got a little adversity, and they came through.
That all comes into play, the confidence level and stuff like that. Say, hey, just like Penn State game, let's go. So like I was saying, lots of things play into that. But yeah, an incredible game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say, I feel like we can expect the same type of game that those two games had, as far as wire to wire down to the end, this coming weekend with Notre Dame at Pitt, and we'll get into that on Saturday. But that's a big game, and Pitt has not lost since they switched quarterbacks. So one of the things I think, remember if we talked about this or not, when Florida State 2 years ago was undefeated and they were barn burners, and then their quarterback goes down for the season, and they didn't let him in the CFP because they're not the same team without their quarterback.
Right.
So do they look at Pitt? Hey, ever since they got a new quarterback, they ain't lost. So does the CFP look at them as an undefeated team? Which they don't. But they have not lost since that new quarterback started for them. And he's from Oregon, Ohio, which I don't even know where that is, but he's a no name out of nowhere that's lighting it up. He's undefeated so far in, I think, 5 games or something like that, however many it is. So Notre Dame at Pitt, man, that should be one. Way back in the day, the statues of Dan Marino and Tony Dorsett and God knows who else that played at Pitt over the years is sitting out there waiting for everybody to look at him. So
Dan Marino.
Yeah, Marino and Dorsett. There's a few others. Those are the two I know. I'm not big on my Pitt history, but yeah. So trying to look at some other games from this past weekend. I know A&M took care of Missouri pretty nicely at 38-17, which that was a good win for them. Boy, 9-0, they are rolling. And this might be the best A&M team we've seen in a couple of decades. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think it's one of the better defenses we've seen in A&M in a couple of years.
Yeah.
The offense, they're getting it done, but that quarterback's he's doing a lot of running and stuff.
He is,
and so I don't know that it's the best team that we've seen. Certainly would be an argument for that. But like I said, the defense is incredible. They really impressed me. Still a few questions on the offense, in my opinion.
Texas Tech bounces BYU. It's 29-7, and BYU had no points till the fourth quarter, I think. It was just total domination. They bounced BYU down 5. Texas Tech is real tough. They have one loss. They didn't have their starting quarterback then. They got him back now. Their defense looks great. I've seen some of their games. Their running back is fast. They got speed. They can hit you hard. It's amazing to me they're not just mowing down the Big 12. Not the one loss. They're certainly winning. So, they look like tough out, and I wonder how they would stack up against some of the bigger teams, the elite Big 10 and SEC teams.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. They do. They're another team. They really look good to you. You said, typical what we've seen in the Big 12 there, with the offense, the fast guys, scoring and all that kind of stuff. But it seemed like we've seen a little bit of the change in the guard, maybe a little bit more defense than what we've seen the last few years. So that's what that. And I always thought, man, if one of these teams could come up with a defense, whether when it was Oklahoma when Lincoln Riley was there, or the Texas Tech teams, or the Oklahoma State teams that could just had all the speed in the world and could light up the board, but they really couldn't stop anybody. So Texas Tech does seem to be doing a little bit better job on the defensive side.
Yeah, they look awful good on watching them on film and watching some of the live games that I've seen. So we'll see. down the road, it's they're almost a shoe in to get in. They'd have to really implode to not be an at large at the very least if they don't win the Big 12, which I think they will. They're my pick to win the Big 12 with BYU going down. Even if Cincinnati beats BYU, I don't see Cincinnati beating Texas Tech, especially the way that, Utah took care of BYU or Cincinnati, and Utah's a two-loss team, but they really beat the snot out of UC a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But yeah, there's just so many other, you know, there's not much room in the Big 12 to get up there. I mean, they're like Texas Tech's up there by themselves. The next closest team is BYU, and they're down to 12 already, and Texas Tech's at 6. So
Yeah.
it's I think there's one coming from that league, and it'd be weird if Texas Tech gets there and then loses the game, and then be the second loss. And then that doesn't mean two get in for sure, but more than likely the winner would be ranked high enough to get two in from the Big 12. So really interesting. And if Pitt beats Notre Dame, that knocks them out. They're 3 losses. They don't play a conference.
Right.
That makes it opens up another at large. Because right now it's like 10 are getting in with Notre Dame and the group of 5 being 11 and 12, so to speak. Notre Dame's out. That opens up another one to get in. So.
Yeah, where's that game? Where's that game at? You have that?
Pitt Notre Dame.
Yeah,
It's at Pitt.
it's at Pitt.
Yeah,
makes it a little more interesting.
that's why I think it's going to be interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
no home cooking for Notre Dame, and I'm not saying they can't win that game. They certainly can. The last few weeks I keep thinking, oh, this is going to be a tough game, boy, and they've just rolled people, and they're running the football really nice. So,
Oh, well, they have one of the best running backs in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy. I don't know if you've seen the one.
oh yeah, Jeremiah
yeah.
Love.
Oh yeah, I mean that
Big
was
time.
friggin' incredible run. That it looks like he was down, and he had just on top of the other guy and just rolled out of that, and boom, he was gone. But yeah, incredible running game there, and
Yep.
I mean that makes a big difference to have that running game. Unlike
Yeah,
Alabama, who
Yeah.
had 26 carries for 55 yards against
Yeah.
LSU.
It's win is a win, and we know that, but it's amazing, and even more amazing, the run they're on and the way they run the football. They're on a great run, and they're not running the football great. They're getting it done, though. Their defense is really good, too.
Well, their defense, I thought their defense, I said that in the very beginning. I thought, Alabama's going to have a very good defense. But it didn't start out that way.
No.
Going up even into, week 3 and week 4, but then they started to turn things around, and, their defense is really, really, really playing great.
Yep.
Ty Simpson's fallen off just a little bit. And man, they have a lot of drops, and we'll get into this more Saturday morning. But man, they are just going to absolutely have their hands full with Oklahoma with that defense and their history with Oklahoma. I think they're 1-4 in the last 5 games against Oklahoma.
Wow. Is that what was I going to ask? I just lost my train of thought. Is that going to be the best defense that they've seen Oklahoma this year, Alabama? Do you think?
Maybe. It's kind of.
I know LSU's defense.
LSU's defense is pretty good.
Right. So I didn't
mean,
know how they shacked up against us. Or
Yeah,
stood
I
up
mean,
against it.
it's hard to say. I think
Okay.
that Oklahoma brings a little bit more. As far as they still have their coach, and their offense is a little more stable than what LSU was, which is kind of amazing if you remember the whole
Right.
LSU thing beginning the season.
Oh, yeah.
Heisman candidate quarterback, and he gets pulled in that game, by the way. So, lots of different. But as far as your question, is that the best defense I've seen? Probably. I got to say, with the results and statistics and what we've seen, I would say probably so.
Yeah, Georgia was a great defense. They're not the Georgia of old, but they're still really good. And one thing that's worked out really nice for Alabama, and I don't mean this in any other way than it's just the way it is. They've had some really good games, but they had them at home. It's nice. LSU was at home. Oklahoma's at home. And was Georgia at Alabama, or was that at Georgia?
I think it was at Georgia.
Okay, yeah. So, not all of them, but it'd be crazy to get all of them. Somebody be calling the league office on that one, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still,
like I said, that's just going to be that's going to be a barn burner there. And like I said, the history with Oklahoma is just not hasn't been well,
Right.
for the last several years. Even some of the best teams that they've had in the last 10, 12 years, or
Oh
probably
yeah,
more like 12, 15 years, because time keeps getting away from us. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's been very successful against Alabama, so I mean, they need to figure something out. I mean, 26 carries, 55 yards. I'm like, wow,
yeah.
that is just, and they haven't had a running game all year, so
And then there's quietly Ole Miss just sitting there. They're going to get into that large probably. They're not going to play for the championship and the conference. Sitting there with one loss, I think.
yeah,
So far, it's gonna be interesting. It's almost like last year they're fighting to try to get in. So was Alabama. They're getting in, and it's hard to imagine they don't get in. And then once you get in, and I'll see what happens. So
oh
it's
yeah.
shaking up to be a really really cool year too of this 12-team playoff.
Oh, it's going to be real interesting in a lot of the other divisions. I mean, the Big Ten, has well Oregon. I got a question mark there, but I mean, obviously they're still right there. But I think it's basically down to Indiana and Ohio State. Oregon may get in. I don't know how well they'll do if they do get in the playoffs. I think Indiana and Ohio State both have the potential to go pretty far through the playoffs. Into the second, maybe even third round. So that's the thing. But then you get to the SEC, the ACC, like you were saying earlier. Who knows what the heck's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And then the SEC is. I mean, it's kind of the same way. It's really up for grabs with 3 or 4 teams that are in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's going to make that real interesting. Like you said, you got Ole Miss sitting right there. You got Georgia right there. You got A&M and Alabama.
And then just down farther is Texas. And
Yeah,
Texas plays
Georgia,
Georgia this week, Arkansas next week, and then the last week A&M.
A&M.
I mean, nothing. That's a Georgia or Texas is relevant each of these 3 weeks. Even if they lose one, they'll have an effect on another team. But if they keep winning, they're just punching their ticket. I think we got 2 losses. They could potentially be a 3-loss team and still get in. Let's say they beat Georgia, they beat Arkansas, and then they have a nail biter with A&M, and they lose. I think that's still a good. I mean, we're talking. They played some serious big teams this year. Ohio State in the first
Oh
season,
yeah,
and they Georgia. I mean, it's nice schedule. And I mean, we've been talking so much about Texas over the year, the season, about man, big question marks with Arch, big question marks with this, and yet here they
right.
keep plugging along, and deservedly so. They still could get in without a doubt, and potentially beat Georgia and beat A&M. And I think maybe they would get into that final game if they beat A&M because they would tie with one conference loss.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, well yeah, they could possibly play in the SEC championship. The thing, if they're going to get by Georgia, they need to get off to a really good start. You don't want to you don't want to be close or be behind with Georgia coming into the second half. We've talked about that several
Oh
times.
yeah.
I mean, talk about the best defense you see is the second half of Georgia.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know if they can ever put it together for 4 quarters or not, but man, the adjustments made there. We've talked about it several times. So for Texas, they need to be able to get past Georgia because they're going to have a real tough time with Texas A&M, mainly because their Texas offensive line is not that good. Arch, they got
True.
to Arch a lot of times,
Yeah.
and probably there's no better defense in the country getting to the quarterback right now than Texas A&M.
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's name, but they got a dude on that team that's a lot like that dude for South Carolina last year. He's just a home
yes,
wrecker, a
right.
home wrecker.
Ooh, I caught that. That's good.
He's got a crazy name or something. I mean, he's,
Yes, yes, he is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they could, if they get to that game, man, A&M could possibly have 8 or 9 sacks. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just from what we've seen from the offensive line of Texas and what we've seen from Texas A&M. So, yeah, Texas got a tough road to go to get to stay in the top 12.
They really do. I mean, it's the 3 tough games. Arkansas is the weakest one, and that's no slouch. They, they can. You got to play Arkansas. You can't just roll the helmet out there on those boys. So
Right, absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, pretty much the CFP didn't do too bad. It's probably the 2 weeks in a row. Other than just look at that. Look at that. Vanderbilt's right in there. We know they're probably going to get in. They got 2 losses. They got some games left. I wonder who they got left on their schedule. I don't think it's crazy hard. It's
Well, they're sitting there like at 13 or 14.
I think they're
or
off
something.
this week. They're off this week. Then they host Kentucky, and then they play at Tennessee.
That'll
And
be a tough one.
Yeah, and yeah, they're right there at 14. So from an at-large standpoint, they're close. I mean, only because some of these other teams are going to play each other. We'll see what happens.
Well,
If go ahead.
no, what I was going to say is, I mean, you're right. They're really close because, I mean, if the favored teams win this weekend, which we know, who
Never
knows
happens.
what's going to happen? Yeah, never going to happen. So
Right.
if Georgia beats Texas, if Alabama beats Oklahoma, that's two teams out of the top 12.
Yep.
That'll be the
Yep.
third loss for both of those teams.
Yep.
So potentially you have Texas and Oklahoma falling out
Right.
of that top 12. I don't see a 3-loss team get in that top 12, regardless of how things go. Even
Yeah.
when we get to the championship games and stuff, I don't see that happening. So potentially, if you're setting at 13, 14, and things go as some of the predictions, are out there. You're sitting in a pretty good spot because there's two teams in front of you that
Right.
very, very potentially could be out of it.
Yep. Yep. It's the Texas Oklahoma 10 and 11. You got to figure if they both lose, they're going to drop down at least below BYU with one loss. Depending on what happens to BYU this week, they play Baylor, or TCU. I'm sorry, Utah plays Baylor this coming week. They were off. They only got 2 losses. There's a lot of teams in there. Miami's got 2 losses. They play NC State. It's going to be really interesting to see who they got where and how they, because it's all about getting in. To that top 12 or 10, depending on who's going in. So yeah. It's not guaranteed Vanderbilt's getting in. There's no doubt about that. But they're probably in the best position they've been in a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Especially with the fact there's 12 in now, where 2 years ago it was only 4. You had no chance.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. We'll get into these predictions on Saturday, but I think Texas is going to lose. So definitely that's going to be one spot. I think Oklahoma's going to win. So that's going to drop Alabama down and probably move Oklahoma up a couple of spots. So
wow, we'll have to talk about that more on Saturday.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. But like
is this some mind games, your little reverse psychology with the team?
Well, I have used that in the past, but lots of things back up that prediction. The previous games, the history of it,
sure.
in the last 10 or 12 years, and the fact it's a great defense, and Alabama cannot run the football.
Yeah, great defense aside, for sure, running the football is probably going to be the biggest factor against Oklahoma. At least they got them at home, maybe some home cooking, and they can, if they can potentially pass the ball really well, and Ty Sims has a great day and make, run by virtue of passing so well, they got to cover the pass that opens up some running lanes, something like that. But I don't know.
Well, if we see, you're not trying to get ahead of our show here, but if we see Ty Simpson have a game like he's had earlier in the season, the type of game where he's 17 for 21, 18 for 22, and I mean that type of game. That's what Alabama's going to have to get past Oklahoma.
Right.
The other thing I was going to say was. If you watch, you were talking about Vandy a little bit, of course, as far as rankings go, but, that quarterback for Vandy,
Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia.
Yeah. So he, man, I tell you, I don't get to see him play. I've seen him play 3 or 4 times, but if you look at his stats every week, they are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always he's not far behind Julian Sand when it comes to, he's always 28 for 35. He's
right.
Every time,
and he's got a ton of rushing yards too.
Yeah, a ton of rushing yards. And since that Alabama game, I think he's only thrown maybe one other interception since then. I think he threw a couple in that game.
That might have been.
Yeah, I mean his stats have been incredible for Vandy. So I mean he's definitely I think he should definitely probably be in the Heisman.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Conversation.
I heard the 4 quarterbacks, and I agree with this, in no certain order: Sayin, Simpson, Pavia, and Haynes King for Georgia Tech. And I think all those guys, for different reasons each. I mean, Haynes King and Pavia, those teams are riding those guys. I'm not saying there's nobody else on the team. Just if those quarterbacks go down, that's going to be a big deal loss for them, because that's how important those guys are for those teams. And they just punch in the mouth and play tough defense. you're going to just go. Vandy is just like the Iowa of the SEC. When you go in there, you're going to take a pounding and hopefully come out with a win, while you're playing in the last 2 years because they're just tough. And
Oh
we'll see
yeah.
if they can keep that thing going or keep their coach there and stuff. So, yeah, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, so like I said, interesting games coming up. That's definitely going to impact our next CFP show. That how the rankings go. We know that it's going to be a shakeup.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of who wins or who doesn't, there's going to be a shakeup in that. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, we got Alabama, Oklahoma. They're playing each other. Notre Dame, Pitt. Pitt is ranked now. They're playing each other, and the Texas and Georgia, they're playing each other. And there's probably a few others, but lots of games that are really going to do a lot of November movement, if you will, and keep this year of weird going.
Oh
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, they're big matchups. Last week we didn't have great matchup. Well, we had some very good matchups, but not like what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So now we're right back into it again, where we have 4 or 5 marquee games that are huge matchups and
Yep.
big impact on playoff implications. So yeah, it's going to get real interesting.
Yeah, 3, 4 weeks left, depending on if your team's got to buy from now to the end of the month, and then it's just going to be great every week. So fun to watch. Have a lot of popcorn.
Oh yeah, no, you got to get the smoker out. That's where it's at.
Hey, this will be the weekend to do it. It's starting to warm up today and tomorrow, so
Yeah.
get out there and start smoking some meat. No doubt. All right, well, tune in on Saturday morning. We're going to be here and setting all setting the table for the games for that day. Tell you how it's going to go, and tell you what we think, and then we'll talk about a couple days after that how bad we thought we were. So, yeah.
Keep down
So
there. We'll see you.
that's right. Real quick, like on Facebook, subscribe, and bells on YouTube. And until Saturday, we'll catch you then.